my goodness. I was contemplating, maybe we'll try that a third time.
Like, the first two were good, but the third time,
that's it, man. That is it. Good morning, guys. Happy freaking Friday. Welcome one and all. Thank you, guys. Thank growth. It's Friday. TGIF. I love that we get to come in and do this because as a kid growing up, dude, that was my favorite part of Fridays is being able to come home and watch TGIF. Carlin, are you too young or do you remember? Do you know what TGIF is?
I know what SNL is. Does that count?
Well, we'll let it slide. Ty goes the runner. We'll ask our guest. We have an amazing guest coming on today, guys. You guys are not going to want to miss this. We're diving into a lot of really neat things that you guys probably are not super familiar with when it comes to goal setting and getting organized, getting clarity. And guys, it is January 5th. It is the beginning of the year. Let's go, man. I am super excited. Carlin, how's everything going for you, man? How's the week?
Oh my gosh, okay. First of all, the kids went back to school this week. The husband went back to work this week. And
so you got all the kids out of the house.
Yeah, except for the baby. He's taking a nap though. It's like this weird feeling where I'm like, there's so much space, and then I'm just like, I need someone to talk to though. So
that's where I do my best work is when you need somebody to talk to.
Yeah, dude. I'm like, man, you know who could probably benefit from a call? Jesse.
I could benefit. Me. Dude, 100%. Hell yeah. Guys, thank you for being here. Jim LaBella. Dude, how are you, man? It's so good to have you. It's so good to see you. Francisco, Terry, Ken, thank you guys for being here. Francisco says, I like the intro. It gets me fired up. Dude, exact same way, bro. We were kind of backstage before we went live. And there was some music that was going on. Myself, Carlin, our guest, nobody could figure out where this music was coming from. And it was kind of, we're like, is this like some sort of like creepy thing going on? We couldn't figure out to this day. I say to this day, like it wasn't just 5 minutes ago. To this day, we have no idea where that music came from, but it was heavenly, if anything, right?
It was peaceful. It was so nice.
It'd probably be weird if we heard like Dragula by Rob Zombie or like Rain in Blood by Slayer. And everybody's like, shit, man, where did this music come from? We have no idea what's going on.
This music was like you had to picture an aquascape with a waterfall and some birds chirping like that.
Hopefully is an indication of good things to come, I'm sure. Real quick, guys, we got an announcement real quick that I want to make before we get into this. If you guys missed our live, we had an amazing live in our Facebook group yesterday, mainly outlining a lot of the program within the Growth Co. and some of the things that we do and why this group exists, why this podcast exists. But one of the big things is I've created a blueprint that Carlin and I are teaching for people that want to go and buy properties. I can't tell you, Carlin, how many times I have seen people go to wholesaling or go be a gator or go be a connector or do things that they don't necessarily want to do. They got into real estate because they want to buy properties, but it's so easy to get lost in the sauce of real estate because there are so many ways to be successful in it. But once you understand that you can have today money and tomorrow money and start buying properties today, dude, it's like, why would you do anything else? So guys, we talked about exactly how to do those things during the live. If you guys are wholesaling because you're like, Jesse, that's great. I want to buy properties, but I need today money. I need now money. Guys, I get it. The way that I buy properties gives you that today money and that tomorrow money. So if you guys missed that live, make sure you guys get in there, go into the Facebook group and go watch yesterday's live. It was super great. We had so much great feedback and a lot of wonderful comments and things people were saying about it. So I'm glad that it gave a lot of value. Carlin, let's get into today. Who do we have coming on today? I am super excited about our guest.
Okay, so she's one of my favorite people in Sub 2, easily hands down. She's someone I would consider a mentor for me personally, always has some sort of insight that it just takes me away. And that's why I'm so excited about today, because the insight that she has is such a refreshing perspective. I don't know if you guys know her, but Agnes Legacy. Let's bring her up.
Woo!
Hi.
Welcome to the fam. Welcome to the show, man. How you doing,
Hi.
Agnes?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Wonderful. Thank you for being here.
Thank
Better
you. Trying to
now
get
that you're
from the
here.
sun. The sun hits and then it's crazy here. Then it goes away and then it's like I'm super dark. I'm like, what the hell? Can we get it
Well,
together?
at least you got some sun. I'm up here. I spend, I live in a place where we got 6 months of no sun.
I was gonna say maybe
I'll
it's
take a
better
little
than
bit.
being in Alaska.
Send a little bit my way. Now, you're an Air Force veteran as well, right?
Yes, I am.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Your husband, your entire family. We were talking about your
My
granddaughter
daughter,
is gonna have to have that.
it's
that,
gonna feel forced,
Air
voluntold
Force.
to join.
Now, what did you do in the Air Force?
So my real job was medical admin. However, I was a single mother when I joined. Straight from the island, could barely speak any English. Not that I could speak English now, but my accent was worse than Sofia Vergara. Go figure that. And so I was so tired of people teasing me and laughing that I work hard to get rid of the accent. Now it's worse because now they're asking me if I'm from New York, and I'd never been in New York. I'm like, what did I do to myself?
What did I do to deserve this?
But yeah, from medical admin, that at that point in time, the hospital was a 24/7 emergency room and everything type of hospital.
Mm-hmm.
So my instructor knew that I was a single mom, and he said, hey, there is a job at the schoolhouse if you want it, so then you don't have to worry about your daughter. It was working on computers, like updating computer and installing the stuff, or the whole Air Force things like OPSEC and whatever. So hell yeah, I take it. I don't want to be in the hospital working at nighttime and the weekends. So that's basically what I did.
Interesting. Okay, and you did 6 years.
Yes.
And then what did you do when you got out? Did you stay in that career field on the civilian side of things, or
no? So
how do we get to where you are right now?
Well, when I got out, I went into the reserves. I had met my husband. We met when we were both in honor guard. We did honor guard, the funerals and the the whole retirement ceremonies, promotions, and all that. And so when we got out, I stayed in the reserves. So then I was in charge of the P test, the famous P test. So
I do.
I was in charge of that, where if you have to handwrite everything. And if you made a mistake, you have to start all over again, the whole 9 yards with that. So I did that. Mm-hmm. After that, at that point, we were in Arizona. And so we opened a tropical smoothie cafe franchise in Gilbert, Arizona. Wow. And so that was crazy because my husband was still active duty. My husband did 24 years in the Air Force. And so that was crazy because it was just basically me running the whole thing from open to close. And we used to live in Queen Creek. And so from Queen Creek to Gilbert was like a good 40 minutes back then. And so then we got orders to Germany. So it was like the 2008 type of thing. So it was one of those things that we had to close the store, try to sell the house, and then move to Germany. I hate Arizona because I want to say it was like the hardest time, challenging times personally. And for us, even as a couple, I had my daughter, and then at that time I had my middle son, and he must have been like 3 years old or so at that time. And it was one of those things that we had him at school, and I get a call. He kicked the teacher and spit on the teacher. You need to come pick him up. My husband can't leave. So I had to close the store, go pick up my son, come back, let him run around in the back office at the store because he kicked and spit the teacher. It was an adventure, to say the least.
Oh, I could imagine.
Yeah. So from there, when we went to Germany, obviously I didn't work while we were in Germany. I just kind of like went to school, to use my GI Bill type of thing. And then from there, we came back to the States, and we haven't technically have a job. We did credit repair. My husband did business funding for a period of time until enough is enough, right? Like you can only want better for people but you can't want it more than they do.
Sure.
And that was the problem that I was having. I wanted it more than they did. And so, yeah, now I'm here doing what I've been doing always, but getting paid for doing it, which is coaching.
Wow. I love that. Thank you for sharing that. So are you doing real estate stuff as well? Or are you just primarily doing coaching now or?
So yes, primarily doing the coaching.
Okay.
And also doing real estate. I just came from seeing a house here locally that I'm interested in, that little house. And so I trying to see doing the comps and stuff like that and see if I'm going to make an offer on that. But primarily focusing on the coaching side of business because I'm still working with the estate back home, my grandmother's estate, which is a very long, lengthy, personal thing, and it's been very hard. And so long story short, I just went back home on the summer in Puerto Rico and I bought out my family members. I still have one family member that I'm dealing with, and it's been rough and it's been hard because it's family. But yeah, we're working on that.
Wow. It sounds like you have a lot going on. And where are you at right now?
In Texas.
You guys are in Texas. Okay. You know something funny? When I was stationed in where Carlin is right now, actually in Alamogordo, New Mexico, in 2010, that's when I first came up to Alaska, and I had to ship my vehicle, and so I could either go to California or Dallas. That was the closest place to ship it, and I'd never been to Texas before, aside from flying into Lackland Air Force Base.
Yeah.
And so as soon as we crossed the border, like I had friends that were from Texas, and I never understood like the Texas pride this, Texas pride that. If you're not from Texas, F you type of deal. You know, I never understood that. And as soon as I crossed the border, Agnes, I remember like it was yesterday, like I saw all of a sudden just started seeing signs pop up that said Texas pride, so-and-so from the Dallas Cowboys grew up here. If you're not from Texas, F you, basically. And man, it was a culture shock.
They're pretty hardcore.
Idaho Falls, Idaho, visiting Texas. Yeah. People take their Texas pride seriously.
I will say Texas is like one of the nicest states I've ever been to, because I pulled over one time. I was driving through Texas. Jasmine was just like this little itty bitty baby. I was driving through Texas with my friend and I pulled over just to stretch my legs. I'm not even kidding. I was there like 10 minutes, just kind of like stretching, looking like a psycho on the side of the road. Three trucks stopped to ask if I was okay. I was like, they pulled up New Mexico. You see someone pulling up, you're like, oh crap, I don't have any.
I see Breaking Bad. I'm not picking them up.
Yeah, like, but in Texas, they pulled over. Hey, are you okay? Is everything okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm just getting my pumps in.
Yeah, it's funny because now that you mentioned Alaska, Jesse, that you're in Alaska, more than half of my tech school class got stationed in Alaska. I was like, why the fuck am I staying here? Why did I be sent to Alaska or somewhere? I don't know. It was a culture shock because I have lived in Puerto Rico my entire life. I've never been outside of the island. So they put me in Texas in the middle of nowhere. There's not a freaking beach. I used to go to the beach every single day. I got out of college, got on the public bus to go to the beach and study. And then got on the bus and then go back. So then they put me here and I'm like, there's not even a freaking river. What are they doing? I cried for like the first 6 months every single day.
Did you really? Oh, man.
I was like, where am I bringing my daughter to? Because at that time, I had left my daughter in Puerto Rico with my parents so that I could get through training.
Yeah.
And then when I got permanent party, then I brought my daughter over. And I was like, what have I done to my daughter? This is bad. But I mean, the second time we were stationed here, I was like, you know what? It's not that bad. And then, of course, the benefits for the veterans, you just can't beat it.
Of course.
In the state of Texas.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, they got what kind of? I would assume they got like educational benefits and stuff for
Educational
Texas
benefits,
residents as
property
well.
taxes benefits.
Oh,
I
really?
mean,
Okay.
yes, no property
Shit, I
taxes.
need to go be a Texas resident.
You do. Yeah.
So,
And you go to the airport, you don't have to pay for the parking. You park right there at the terminal. I pretty much park next to the airplane. And
Definitely.
then I leave, and then it's like, oh, $300 for parking. I was like, can you check my tags? Because you have to have the VA tags.
uh-huh.
And so they're like, oh, okay, it's zero. Thank you. Bye.
Really?
Chris, yes. The benefits here, and I think the next one is either Florida or Oklahoma. But those are the three that have like the best benefits for veterans.
Interesting. Huh.
Yeah. It's
Well,
pretty
that's
wild.
good to know. Something to think about. Yeah, for sure. So
Yeah.
how long have you been in Texas now?
On and off, I want to say over 10 years. On and off.
Okay. And where was the off? I'm assuming it wasn't Alaska.
When we were stationed here, then we went to Arizona, then we went to Germany. We came back, then we left to Costa Rica. We live in Costa Rica for about 4 years. My youngest one, he's now 14, was born in Costa Rica.
Okay.
And so I told my husband, look, we need to go back. I cannot do this any longer. Like, I will either end up dead or in jail. And so because they speak Spanish, I speak Spanish, but they're very passive aggressive. And I have nothing of passivity, if that's even a word, in me. And so my husband don't speak Spanish. My kids don't speak Spanish. So I was the one translating for everyone. Everywhere we went, I was translating, ordering, doing the whole thing. And not to mention, we had to pay for the schools. Because obviously my kids don't speak Spanish, so I have to put them in a private school, and that was a pretty penny per kid, no discount. So I said, I'm done. Like, we need to go back. So when my daughter joined the military, a year later, we came back.
Interesting. Wow. Okay. So after you guys came back, you guys didn't look at opening up any more like franchises or anything like that. So how did you get into coaching and real estate?
Well, funny thing is that people think that I just started doing this. And the funny story is that I didn't just started doing it. I started doing it as a business in exchange of energy for money. But prior to that, I've been doing it. I don't know if you believe this or not, speaking about witchy stuff and intuitiveness and stuff, all that kind of stuff. I was very, very, very intuitive as a child. That's how it's always been. And so around 2015, 2010, I did Reiki. I started doing Reiki, taking Reiki courses. And so we would go to the meetings. And
what is that?
Reiki is I think it's like a Japanese form of energy healing. And so a lot of the people like to kind of put the hands over the person's body and kind of feel. But for me, that's my kind of people. But for me, I never have the need to touch the person or to put the hands over the person to feel anything. I could just be at a distance and be like, yeah, check right here, check right there. And they're like, yeah, I had surgery here. Yeah, I done that, blah, 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 right? So then pranic healing is also a similar modality. It's also of energy healing. And so then I also did EFT tapping. EFT is emotional freedom technique. That is clinically proven for those that says, oh, Reiki and pranic healing is a witchy stuff, and I don't like that stuff, blah, blah, blah. EFT tapping is clinically proven, period, end of story. And so I was very much into the chakras, which some people think the chakras is a bad thing. Honestly, the chakras is what the mystic call the chakra. The science call it the glands, like the thyroid gland, the thymus gland, all those glands. Those are all energy centers of the body. And so there are 7 main energy centers of the body, and those emit some kind of frequency, some type of energy, and they rule over certain parts of the body.
Mm-hmm.
And if they are out of control, whether it's by excess or by default, they will have some sort of side effect, which means you will feel this way or that way, depend on which chakra is. So then the most recently I did NLP training and hypnotherapy training. So I'm certified master coach on NLP and hypnotherapy and chakra training and timeline therapy, like all those things. Basically, I have been in the closet the whole time because honestly, when I started, the intention was to do it for me. I'm like, this is for me and for me only, for me to grow, for me to improve, right? I
Yep.
never really thought about going and out there and do it for anyone else, even though I did. But it was more like you call me and, hey, Agnes, can you help me with this? And I'm like, hey, Jesse, let's do this, let's do that, blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been doing it, but I never charge anything. So what changed now is that I'm charging for it. That's the difference.
Interesting. Let me ask you real quick, as like Air Force, W2, like for me, when I got out of the Air Force, there was this big mindset shift that had to happen from being this W2 scarcity centered, mindset and ways of thinking about abundance and opportunity and money. That was obviously something that was never talked about when I was young. I would assume probably similar with you.
Oh, yeah,
money probably wasn't the big thing that was talked about. You didn't ask people how to go make more money or anything like that.
Yeah.
So when you and your husband started diving into entrepreneurial, things, and then you started going down this path of doing this thing for you, and then you're like, well, wait a minute. I could turn this into a business. I could monetize it and help people at the same time. I could fund the way that I want to live and help people get from A to B to C and do all these things and provide that service. Was there a mindset shift at all that had to happen? Was there any point, maybe even between you getting out of the Air Force to where you are right now, where you were like, man, I've got to go get a job. Or have you always intuitively been very entrepreneurial minded?
Intuitively, yes. Because when I grew up, I spent a lot of time with my grandmother. And my grandmother was a cosmetologist. So when I was very, very young, she used to have an ice cream shop. And then she was a cosmetologist. So then she had her salon. And then she had 3 other ladies that work in her salon. And so from a very young age, I learned how to do all hair related stuff, cutting hair, perms, you name it, I could do it.
Yeah.
And so it was a very polar opposite worlds, right? Because both of my parents used to work in a factory. And then on the other hand, I have my grandmother who have this business, but not only have this business, she built this building, which is the estate that I mentioned earlier, that has 3 commercial spots at the bottom and the house at the top. So technically, she owned her business and also was an investor because she has the building is hers and she rented the 2 other spaces. So that was always kind of like on the back of my head. And looking back, I'm like, damn, I wish I would have paid more attention when my grandmother was teaching me the stuff. But back then, you didn't have that, that mindset. You didn't think of any of those things. It was more like you have to go to college if you want to make something out of your life. And I went to college and I have never worked on anything that has anything to do with what I went to college with. That's crazy.
Wow, Agnes, that is really interesting. I feel like I same thing. I grew up the same way. Always thinking $100,000 a year was, you might as well be Donald Trump. You got $100,000 a year, bro. You're good. You can do anything you want. And so to step away from that and to start, building businesses and seeing a little bit more success, each quarter and each year and to where you are right now. Did you go into it, I guess before I even get into that, what type of coaching do you specifically do? I know you've kind of talked about some of the things that you have gone through to educate yourself on because you were doing it for you, and now you're doing that for other people. But if you were to put a title on it, or what type of coaching does that look like?
I hate to define that mindset, right? Because when you say mindset, everyone thinks automatically limiting beliefs, and that's not it.
Right.
So I would define that more as healing and success coaching.
Okay.
Healing, because when you think about limiting belief, and I don't think that people understand that, and the people that talk about the limiting belief understand that. But when you talk about limiting belief, you're not born with a belief. You're not born with a belief, period.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no such a thing. So you start forming a limiting belief depending on how you grew up, with your parents, with your school, with your society, with your work, with the people that you relate to. Then you start forming the limiting belief. But before that, the nervous system was there. And so you may not remember consciously, but your nervous system and your body remembers. So when people said, I'm working on the limiting belief, think of it as like a table. The table have 3 to 4 legs in order for it to be stable and balanced, right?
Sure.
So in order for you to have a limiting belief, that limiting belief have had to have enough evidence to make it sustainable, that event happened several times with the same experience. And so the brain goes, oh, that goes in the file of rejected. That goes in the file of abandoned. That goes in the file of not wanted. And so the brain just kind of wrap it into a bowl. And that's when the limiting belief is formed of how you felt according to that file. But before that, you had your nervous system.
Mm-hmm.
And so your nervous system is always going to remember. So you can say limiting belief is kind of like mowing the weeds. There's a whole bunch of weeds. You mow, right? But what happened? You mowed it, but what's going to happen? They're going to grow right back. And they're going to keep growing. And so the weed represent the limiting belief, and mowing represent positive thinking, affirmations, blah, 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 all these other things that people tell you to do working on the limiting beliefs, right? Push it, willpower, discipline, blah, blah, blah. But you have to continue to mow, and it's going to come to the point that you're going to feel fed up and tired and burnt out and flat out say, I give up. I'm done. This shit doesn't work. It can't be possible. This is not for me. How come everyone else can do it, but I can't do it? Because you did not took that weed from the root. If you don't take it out of the root, it's going to continue to grow. And so the difference, what sets me apart, is that I work on the root. I don't work on just the limiting belief. Where does that come from? And oftentimes what I have found is that comes from pre-verbal stages. And a lot of the time, some of that trauma is passed down from the parents, from the mother. What happened? Did that mother feel safe and secure when you were in her womb? Was she in an abusive relationship? Was there a disease or something? Did someone lost a family member? Did they lose a job? Am I making sense, or am I just rambling?
No, this is perfect. No, thank you. This makes perfect sense. This is amazing.
Yeah.
But people can feel those things, like they can take those stressors and things that happen while they're in the womb from their mother.
100%.
Oh my gosh.
100%.
That's a big part of why they tell you to limit your stress when you're pregnant.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's even been proven that goes from generation. That's what it's called, the generational curses. The people that come from the Holocaust, the people that come descendants of slaves, that is ingrained in their nervous system. The nervous system is like the programming of the computer. And you can think positive all you fucking want. I don't give a fuck who tells you what. You can read all the books, watch all the videos, think positive, make affirmation. Why is it that you read all the books, do all the affirmations, think positive, but you still skating on the same shit? Because you haven't dealt with the root.
So you help people find that root and pull that root out.
Out from the root. Yeah.
Is there a second part to that? Is it like now that we've built this, kind of like, I guess if you were going to build a house, like you got to clear the land, pull all these roots and trees and all this stuff out so that you can put a foundation on this so you can build up from. Is it kind of the same thing when you're building this as a person, or is it kind of completely different? Like, what is after you've helped somebody pull that root out, what are the next steps to building that foundation?
So when it's incredible, right? Because when I work with my clients to help them remove that root, sometimes it is something that is a blind spot, right? Because it's the thing, we know things that we know things that we don't know, but we don't know what we don't know.
Yes.
And a lot of the times the root is those blind spots. And they're like, well, I can work on it on myself. Well, yeah, you could, but if you don't know what you don't know, what the fuck are you going to be working on?
Right.
And so when we go to the root, they have so much clarity of mind. They can see the bigger picture. It's the way that I can describe it is that it's kind of like a bird's eye view where you see the situation, you see the other person, you see yourself, you hear yourself and the other person. And you're like, you're right here still looking at yourself. And you're like, well, damn, that's why that happened. Because I acted like a jackass. Or I see why they treated me that way. And I feel sorry for them. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, it does. Absolutely does. So it's kind of like if you were to picture like people, if you're on like Google Maps as an example, and you're zoomed all the way in, all you see is like things that are just immediately in front of you, but you're able to take that zoom out and you can kind of see the entire map, and you can say, oh, well, this is where your destination started. You made this detour on the way. This happened at this detour, and somewhere along your way, this is how we got from A to B to C.
Exactly. Well, because think about it. If I have this paper here and you tell me, Agnes, go ahead and read what's on that paper. And I'm like, Jesse, I can't really tell. You can't read it because the problem is right there in your face. It's too close for you. And so when we go through this process, we also create detachment from the emotion, detachment from all those things, all these emotions that are basically controlling you. And so when you think of detachment, a lot of people think, oh, well, that means that I don't give a fuck. No, it doesn't mean that you don't give a fuck. Detachment means that you care, but you care in a different way. It means that those emotions no longer got you by your balls. It means that you got your balls and you decide what you're going to do. And so it's creating that separation and clarity of thinking, because when that happens, so we have been in this society that for the longest, saying that I'm stressed out is a badge of honor. Like that's supposed to be a good thing. Oh, I'm stressed out. That means I have a lot going on. No, that's not good. That's not good because you're on a fight or flight response. And what happens when you're on a fight or flight response? All that energy, all that blood flow goes into your extremities. And what are you supposed to do? Run like you got a firecracker up your motherfucking ass because something is chasing you, right? But in our society, there's nothing chasing us. And so what happens is that when that happens, we are less brilliant, we are less smart, we're less intelligent. We can't make clear decisions because the waters are boiling. And when the waters are boiling, you can't see clear. You can't see your reflection.
Absolutely.
So we turn down the fight or flight response with the whole work that I do, and they can think clearly. They are smarter. They're able, and they're more effective at what they do, right? Because we're experts at being busy by being busy and not accomplishing a damn thing. And so by that, we can pretty much be more effective.
So
I 100% agree, dude. Everybody in the comments is saying the exact same. The comments are just firing up. Jeff, I love this. I freaking love your straightforward approach.
Because then I get sidetracked. So I'm sorry. If I'm not acknowledging comments, I know I will get sidetracked. So I'm like, okay, let me just blind spot myself.
No, you're in the zone. No, this is awesome. Can you guys feel that energy coming from Agnes. Oh my, like I feel it over here. Like I literally feel my vibrational frequency has just skyrocketed. I love the stuff that you were talking about the chakras, the nervous central system. That stuff's always interested me. I don't know enough about it, but I would love to hear your thoughts on Haley's comment here. She said, I saw a quote the other day in 2024, a regulated nervous system is a better flex than being a millionaire. And it's so true.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Because what do you think of when you read that, Agnes? What does that mean?
It absolutely is, because you have control of yourself. You're not reacting, you are responding. And when you respond, you have a choice. When you react, you are at effect. You're not at cause. When you're at effect, you're a victim. You're in the victim mentality because they did this to me, because they said this to me, because the circumstances, because that's what happens with my family, because we're always screwed up. And when we are at cause, we create, we decide. The wind is blowing this way, but I'm going to steer myself because I want to go the opposite way. We're in control. And so what is it good if you're a millionaire, but you acting like you're a crackhead the whole fucking time? It's no good. For me, at least, it's no good.
Yeah. No, I'm right there with you. You talked about people acting like they're like overwhelmed is like a good thing. Like having anxiety is a good thing. One thing that I have noticed throughout my entrepreneurial endeavors, is that's also where like the extreme growth comes from. Like I on my live, I talked about this a little bit yesterday. I had a dishwasher go out, and I'm not like a fix-it guy or anything. So I spent like an hour trying to fix this damn thing. Couldn't fucking figure it out.
They're not a fixing.
Chair force, right? We employ who not how very well.
Exactly.
But like a while ago, so 2 years ago, and then I'm gonna come back to this, but I want to stay here for a second because I want to get your take on this. A couple years ago, like my up here in Alaska, it's really cold, obviously during the winters, and I had a well that froze over. So I had somebody had to come out. It cost me an arm and a leg to do that. The same week, like my truck had a check engine light on it. We had to replace some other crap went wrong with the house. Like things were just it was like one thing after another. And normally, well, I mean, how I took that in, I was so stressed out with those things that just inevitably pop up. And then people, had family members that were falling very ill. Like there was just things that just continually go on. And I remember it was causing me so much stress and anxiety. And I kept thinking like, man, like what are we, like, am I making God mad or something like that? And I'm putting all this on everybody else. And at the time, this was 2 years ago, I didn't really clearly understand what it meant when people say life happens for you and not to you.
Right.
And now it's just being an entrepreneur over the last 2 years and just the amount of anxiety and stress inducing things that come about from being an entrepreneur. I mean, we had our dishwasher go out. Somebody came over yesterday and fixed it. He fixed it in like 10 minutes, Agnes. Fixed it in 10 minutes, charged me $200. I was never so happy to pay somebody $200 for 15 minutes worth of work in my life. Like normally I would have been like, oh my gosh, like another bill. Like things keep happening to me. We got stuff going on with our car. I got a heater cord that needs to be replaced. Anyway, going through the things that I've gone through as an entrepreneur, as an investor, as a business owner, over the last couple of years, it has stretched my capacity and tolerance for things that used to cause me anxiety. So obviously anxiety isn't a good thing. It's not something to relish in or to brag about or to even seek. How do you find that balance between stretching so you have that growth and the things that used to cause you anxiety no longer cause anxiety, and then you're walking that line between not necessarily putting yourself in a position where you want to be, in that state all the time? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I don't know if I worded that right.
Well, it's funny though, because before I used to get like stressed out and like mad, and my go-to was anger constantly. Like there are
Mhm.
some people that their go-to is something else. My
Sure.
go-to was anger. And so I learned how to harvest the power of anger. And people think, well, it's not good to get angry, and you keep stuffing it down and stuffing it down because it's not politically correct to get angry.
Hmm.
Well, there's a lot of power in anger if you can harvest that anger.
Sure.
And so in me growing into this, there are times that I start getting mad about something and I'm like, well, wait a minute. What am I accomplishing? It's like in the back of my head, the voice, what are you accomplishing with this? Where are you going? Is it really that big of a deal? And then I'm like, you're right. It's like a conversation inside. You're right. It's not that big of a deal. And so, for example, this morning, I get a text from my tenant. Well, we're looking to see if we can get into another house. I'm like, what the fuck? They just told me that they were going to renew the lease. And I'm at the gym. So I'm fuming because I'm like, now I have to worry about this bullshit. And then I'm like, so what? If they don't want to stay, then I'll find somebody else. And if I can't find nobody else, I'll pay the motherfucking bill. Am I going to die? No. I did it for a whole year. The house was vacant for a whole year and I paid it. So it's just one of those things that your mind will give you the higher perspective.
Hmm.
And it's kind of like you'll see it in your mind's eye. Like, wait a minute. And you see the distance between you and the problem. And it's like, this is really not a problem. Is it? If you can control it, it's not a problem. If you cannot control it, then it's no point for you to have an attitude about it because there's nothing you can do about it. It's not under your control.
Right. Right. I love that you use that word there, control,
Yeah.
because when I was in the Air Force, I was a certified resiliency instructor. Resiliency was huge. I mean, just more recent years, the suicide rates in the military, let alone even in the Air Force as well, it's never been higher than it is right now. So resiliency is one of those big words that they're using in the Air Force, and going through getting certified for that, we went really deep with understanding why we do things and how we perceive things. And I remember one of the examples that they used, we're talking about anger. One of the examples they used was, if you're driving down the highway and somebody cuts you off, how are you going to feel about it? How are you going to react? Most people are going to, when I ask that question to a class, most people are like, I'm flipping them off. I'm pissed off. I'm honking my horn. I'm fuck you. I'm, doing all the things. But then you kind of zoom out a second. And what if I was to tell you that that person who cut you off, his wife is in the passenger seat in labor, and you got to get over to the hospital now? What is your attitude about it now? Like, oh my gosh, no, I'm not mad at all. Like,
exactly.
Like, just peruse. Hey, let me give you an escort if anything else. Now, right?
Exactly.
So the way that we understand, like I got to understand that the actions are just actions. There's neither negative nor positive things.
It's
When
the
things
meaning
happen in
that
our
we
life,
give to things.
yes,
Through
and it's
our
about being able to control that
filters.
emotion.
Yeah, well, and here's the thing. I learned that nothing has any meaning but the meaning that you give to it. Right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And so it's just one of those things, like when you're saying, if the person have their wife, something happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes people get mad when things don't happen for them. And it's one of those things, is it God, or I don't care, whatever the hell you believe, right? God, the universe, the creator, the oneness, whatever you want to label it. Sure. What if it's that protecting you, dimming your light because there's something bigger and better for you? Because that was not the method for you. Because that was not the business for you. Because that was not the job, the spouse, the company, the house that you were meant to do. What if it's that going on? And you're like crazy trying to just bolt into that place when, because you were so desperate, you ended up in something that is shitty when there was something bigger and better for you.
Well said.
And we don't think about that. What if that person that cut you off saved you from having an accident, from getting a ticket, a speeding ticket, because maybe you were going a little bit too crazy? I don't know. And so, but we're busy like, oh, this happens to me. And in 2024 just started and I want to redo. Shut the fuck up. It hasn't even been a week. What are you talking about redoing? Redo your motherfucking mind by the renewing of your mind. Those that read the Bible, right? I don't, but I know that. By the renewing of your mind, you will see how everything else change.
What are like 2 or 3 things that you can give people to help starting to renew their mind?
When they
like books or practices, or where's a good place to start?
More practices than books. Because you can read a book and you still can get nothing accomplished because your limitations won't allow you. And so something very quick that I give anyone that is like stressed out, tap and rant. Tap and rant. So on tapping, on the emotional freedom technique, is called tapping. There are several points, and those are acupuncture points on the meridians of the body, right? Like we're getting deep here.
I like this.
And so because there's several points, but you don't have to go through all those points. And a lot of the times when people stuff their emotions down, that do more harm than good. Well, I'm keeping quiet to keep the peace. Whose peace are you keeping? Because it's sure as fuck not yours. So whose peace are you keeping?
Yeah.
So then I tell them tap and rant, right? Here is, I'm trying to lift myself up. Here is one of the points of the tapping.
It's right here on your collarbone, or
yeah,
below
right
your
here.
collarbone,
Like, this is your collarbone right there.
Okay.
This little space right here.
Okay.
Right under the clavicle bone. And so tap and rant. This motherfucker that caught me off, I want to flip the motherfucking finger. And so you will voice that. That energy has to come out. If that energy doesn't come out, that energy will get lodged in your body and turn into a disease or a condition. And so people in this business that we're in, people are like, well, hustle, right? And that's fine. You can hustle.
Yeah.
Your mind can keep you pushing and hustle, but this, your body, matter has limitations. And we are matter. We have limitations. This vehicle that we call our body, that we came to this world to live in, has limitations. And you can continue to push and push and push until your body put you down because you didn't listen. And when your body puts you down, it will put your motherfucking ass down so bad that you will have no other option but to listen. And unfortunately, a lot of us humans, the only way to listen is through pain. And we recreate pain. Pain of whatever kind of pain it is. Disease of any kind of disease. Because matter have limitations.
Wow.
Dang.
The mind is limitless, yes, but the body has limitations. It's matter.
We're getting deep here. I just, you said something that it made me think of this. I was like, I don't know if I should ask this. I'm going to ask it though.
Yeah.
Not endorsing it, not saying or condoning it or anything like that. Obviously, I don't think you would either. But like, I'm huge into music. Obviously, I don't know if you saw my background. Love music, heavily involved in music. Love writing and recording music. Some of my idols, Jimi Hendrix, Van Halen. You know, I feel like, I don't know if music was better back in the day because of a lot of the extracurriculars people were doing. But what do you, when it comes to, I guess I'll just use marijuana as an example. Like, how does that like affect your brain and just the chakras, the
the music or the pot?
The pot.
I really don't know. I've never been drunk, believe it or not. Everyone thinks that because I'm crazy and wild that I must drink and just like dance naked on the table. I have never been drunk ever. I don't drink. Drinking has never been my thing. And I have never done any pot or nothing like that. However, I do have heard that there's different kinds, right? And I heard that the older people, that when the older people used to smoke pot, it was a different type of pot than what it is today.
Okay.
So does that make a difference? I don't know, but it sure as fuck, it will, if it alters a state of mind, it's you crossing a threshold that could be very dangerous.
Yeah.
Because when you alter your state of consciousness, you may be getting into something that you don't know. And you don't want to find out either if you don't know what you're doing. Because you're talking about different dimensions. You're talking about different shit that some people believe or not. Yeah. I do. I know. And so you're getting into something that you don't know and you can't control it.
Interesting. Yeah, I just wanted to get your take on it.
Stuff like that too,
Yeah. Yeah, no, 100%. This is really great. Thank you. Because you hear all these people that are talking about, like, oh, you got to take a puff before band practice or something like that because it makes them more creative. I've never done any of that. I've been drunk, but I don't drink. Don't do any drugs or anything like that. But yeah, just super curious because I'm very much into. I remember when I learned about the law of attraction during my first deployment in 2013, and that was such a wild experience of getting into like breathing exercises and things like that. So anytime anybody starts going over the body and mind, what's that?
Box breathing.
What is box breathing?
Box breathing is you inhale, let's just say for a count of 5. Inhale for a count of 5, hold it for a count of 5. Exhale for a count of 5, hold it for a count of 5. And go on like that. 5, 5, 5. 10, 10, 10, 15, whatever number you want to do. That is also good to turn down the fight or flight.
Interesting. Oh, well, I'm going to write that one down.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing that. Well, I want to get into take a small pivot here for a second. Let's get into like a little bit of goal setting, and then I know you got something you're going to take us through.
Yes. Well, first of all, I have the SMART goal thing.
Yeah. Yep.
The specific and simple and measurable and meaningful, as if now in all areas of your life, responsible, ecological, and responsibility, right? Because responsibility have the ability to respond.
Yep.
And so, and then that is in a time that you want. And so I don't know if you guys want to have the goals, because I have questions that will clarify that goal, right? Because a lot of the time that people fail in their goals is because their goals are not aligned with who they really are or who they think they are or not. Right? And so when we have goals, if the goals are not aligned with who we are, I'm doing it because my spouse, I'm doing it because my kids, I'm doing it because my parents, I'm doing it because I have something to prove, it's not in alignment with you. And when it's not in alignment with you, you're not going to stick with it. And so, and I want to say something on that, and I'm going to go off a tangent here like I always do. So
yeah, no, you're good.
What happens is that when you tell yourself, right, when we have a goal, like let's just say losing weight, right? That's like the New Year's resolution for a lot of people.
Right.
I want to lose weight. And you tell yourself you're going to do it. You impose that goal onto yourself. And what a lot of the time happens is that who gave us orders when we were younger? Our parents or whoever raised us.
Yep.
And so when they told us, even if we got mad, we couldn't be like, fuck you, I'm not doing shit. Because I would get an ass whipping straight up.
Hell yeah. Yep.
So it was no joke. And so at that time, you would shut up and do whatever, and that's it, right? But now it's my adult self telling myself to do something. But what happens at the unconscious mind level is your parent giving you that order. Are you following?
Uh-huh.
And so it's your parent giving you that order. So you start, and then halfway, you're like, I'm done. Because it's that rebellious teenager that couldn't tell your parent to fuck off. I'm not doing it. You can't make me. And look at me now. That's the rebellious teenager giving up on that goal, because at the unconscious level, you're still the teenager, and your parent is giving you the order. It's pretty crazy because a lot of people don't know that, don't think of that, and wonder, why do I never stick with something? Well, that's one of the things. You either have a pattern of rebellious or a pattern of loyalty towards your parents or whoever raised you. And this bleeds into everything in life. If I could tell you that the amount of money that you have on the savings account, savings is a metaphor of how safe you felt growing up. If you didn't feel safe growing up, I'm pretty sure your bank account, your savings account is very low to none.
If you did not feel safe, then it's low to none.
Right. Right. Because
savings account is a
metaphor for how safety and security. Right. Mm-hmm. And so I also do a money breakthrough with my clients, and I call it the money map. And the first session is the money map. And in the money map, we go through how much you have on your savings, how much you have in debt, what is your income goals, and toxic money. And they don't tell me those numbers. I don't care what those numbers are. Those numbers are for them to see and for them to write it down. Not for me. I could care less how much money they have. Mm-hmm. I want them to get through that. And so toxic money is another thing that a lot of us have that we don't even know that we have it. Toxic money is when you have to fight for child support, when your parents have to prove that you as a child needed something so that the spouse will provide. Mm-hmm. Toxic money is when you're in a sugar daddy or sugar mom relationship, codependency on a relationship. I'm with him or with her because they're paying, and if I leave them, that means I have to do my own thing. Mm-hmm. All that is toxic money.
Yeah.
And when you have toxic money, you'll get rid of it. You can't keep it. Unconsciously, it's going to burn a hole in your pocket. That's just the way it is.
That is very interesting to hear how some of those things are linked together. I mean, you're blowing my mind right now. I mean, I'm watching the chat as well. Everybody else is loving this. This is great. Thank you for sharing this.
Yeah. And here's the crazy thing. When you said, I'm never going to be like my parents, you have resistance. And guess what happens? Because you're fighting against that paradigm, against that belief, against those things, mm-hmm. You're wasting energy that you can't do on yourself. It's kind of like when we were talking about the computer and all the open tabs, that you have a gazillion tabs open and one has the music coming out like mine.
Well, thank goodness it was music. Thank goodness it wasn't, somebody's OnlyFans account or something, that could have been weird.
I know,
but yes,
right?
Yes.
And so when you create resistance against them, it's that tab that is open, that is spinning, that you don't know that it's there, but it's taking energy, it's taking speed, it's taking internet juice, computer juice, battery drain, all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. And it's there, but you're not aware of it.
So Joe had a great question. So it says Rebels Haven, Alaska. It's my friend Joe. He's an Air Force veteran as well. Him and I actually went to tech school together. When you were talking about how people's upbringing plays a factor into whether they can hold on to money or not, he asked a great question. How do you fix that?
So the way that you fix it, I go deep with my clients. And so I walk my clients through a visualization where I'm not interested what your analytical conscious mind have to say. I speak directly to your unconscious mind. Your unconscious mind will give me all the answers that we need. and then we work from there. But from the way you grew up will dictate the type of spouse you will have, the type of relationships you will have, not just with your spouse, but at work, your friends, your family members, everyone who you relate around.
Mhm.
It's going to dictate how much money you have, how much money you make, how much money you keep. And your unconscious mind will manifest that to a T in dollars and cents to what were those beliefs growing up around money. If there's battle around money, you will always get rid of that money. If there's shame, you will always get rid of that money.
That is very interesting, and it plays
Yeah.
into what you've been talking about this whole time. And Julie, thank you for bringing this back.
Yeah.
Generational curses, generational wounds.
Yeah. So
So
we
Ed
take
might
care
let-
of all of that. We help them see the bigger picture, right?
Yeah.
They detach from all that, and that no longer controls them because they now see. They now have power. My biggest thing with my clients is empowering them to see whatever it is that I'm teaching them in all aspects of life, so they are able to have more clarity and make better decisions on everything else. And there's no one else doing for them.
Right.
They're in control.
Right. I love this. No, thank you, Agnes. This has been absolutely fantastic.
This
Carlin,
is way out
I'm
of
so
the
sorry.
ballgame, but
I've been so enthralled with what Agnes is talking about, man. Did you got any questions or anything for Agnes or anything you're wanting to know? Or
No, I mean, I prefaced, Jesse. I told you, anytime she talks, I just have to stop and listen. Like,
the exact same way. This has been fantastic.
so I don't really have anything. Like, while all of this was happening, this sounds so silly to a lot of people, but we had 2 fish die within the past like 10 minutes. Super. And so there was some stuff that you were saying that is just like kind of honestly helping me process that. Like, so thank you.
good. I'm sorry about your fish. I know you do care a lot about all your animals.
Yeah, I appreciate you, Agnes. It truly, like, this could not have been at a better time, because you were talking about it with like the anger and the frustration and not having control over it. And I was just kind of like, I don't really have control over that.
Yeah,
I'm sad, but
exactly.
so
Yeah. So do you guys want to go through the clarification questions of the SMART goals, and then we go through the visualization of the goals? Or
Let's do exactly that. I think that'd be a great way to outro this thing. Guys, stay with us for a few more minutes. We're about to get into some really, really neat things real quick.
Oh, the visualization is, if whoever don't do the visualization is going to be missing out in something huge. I'm telling you, you want to reach your goals, you better do this motherfucking visualization. I am not, and not because I'm saying it. Like, I have walked plenty of people through it, and I ain't even gonna say nothing else. It's gonna speak for itself.
Fucking A, let's go. Let's go.
So, okay, the S of the SMART goal is the specific and simplistic. The M is for measurable and meaningful. I already went through that, right? And so I said ecological. So what I mean by ecological means that it has to be self to self, meaning, is that goal for me? Because if it's not for me first, it's not going to work. It has to be for me first, good for me, then good for me to my family, good for me to my community, and good for me and the society. But it has to be me first. And so the questions to clarify is, what specifically do you want? Focus on what you really want rather than what you don't want, right? A lot of us know, I don't want this, I don't want that, I don't want the other, but we don't know what the fuck we really want. So focus on what you really want. And then I want you to picture yourself in your current situation in relationship to your goal, and see yourself in the picture as if you were there, right? This, at the unconscious level, is going to give your unconscious mind a starting point. Kind of like when you put the GPS, you have to tell the GPS where you're at in order to take you to where you're going. And so your unconscious mind will map it out. And so I want you to have clear on what will you see, hear, feel when you have accomplished that goal. And say it in writing in the present tense as if you have it now. And so the other one was like, how will you know when you have it? How do you know when you had already accomplished that goal? What is that will tell you that what will tell you that you have done it, right? Is it something that you have to have? Is it something that you have to hear? Is it something, what is it? That's what it's asking. What will the outcome get for you or allow you to do? Right? And so does it align with who you believe you are and with what you want to achieve in life? Is it only for you? Is it desirable and under your control? When, where, and with whom do you want the goal? What do you have to do now? And what do you need to get to your outcome? Have you ever had this before? Or have you ever done it before? Or do you know anyone that has? Or can you act as if, right? Knowing someone that have done it, or if you have done it before, will give you a model of how you can accomplish it to your mind. So for what purpose do you want this? What will you gain or lose if you have it, right? And when you say lose, a lot of people are like, well, I don't want to lose anything. No. Sometimes losing something or someone is the best thing that could happen to your life. So don't think that lose is something bad, right? Because we tend to associate losing something with something bad.
Sure.
And so what will happen if you get it? What will happen if you don't get it? What won't happen if you don't get it? So with that, those were the questions that I have. And I have a note that I want to bring here in case anyone is feeling that way. 1% doubt is 100% uncertainty.
1%. Ooh, oh my gosh.
So if you have 1% doubt on your goal, that's 100% uncertainty. Okay.
That is deep. Oh my God. Did you coin that shit, Agnes?
No.
Fuck, I'm gonna go share that shit today. I'm gonna tag you in it. That is fucking dope.
And comfort zone is not comfortable and at all. I don't know who the fuck named it comfort zone, but it's not comfort. Comfort zone is only predictable discomfort. Right? And I think we all know that.
Say that one more time. Comfort zone is predictable
discomfort. It's not comfortable. It's just predictable discomfort. It's not comfortable. But because you know you're used to it, you think it's like comfortable, but it's not.
I'm writing all of this down.
Dude, I need like an AI note taker for this thing, man. This is great.
Thank God this is recorded.
Dude, you know what?
Yeah,
Agnes
right?
is over here like a modern day like Jim Rohn, man. She's like just dropping just shit just left and right, man. Fucking lighting this place on fire. This is good. Thank you.
And so all growth requires change, but not all change equals growth.
Oof.
Yeah.
Let that one sink in. Holy cow.
Yeah, right. And so when we think of complex things or difficult things, it's one of those things, again, like when we have the paper in our face and we're trying to read it. You can't. Complex things is nothing more and nothing less than a whole bunch of little shit wrapped up together. So we just have to break it down and isolate each of the things so that we can start solving the problem, the issue, or whatever it is. So, okay, if you guys are ready, we can start the juice of this.
All right. What do I got to do to prep for this? I blew dry my hair. Is that good enough?
Hey, that's what Carlin said. He must be blow drying his hair. And I was like, well, I sort of did my hair today, right? Because most of the time everyone knows I have my hair like this. And that's
Same.
me everywhere. To the gym, to my videos, everywhere. So
Me too.
I did my hair today for you guys.
When I put my
you
hair
look
down,
fantastic.
if I put my hair down, Oakley puts it back on my head and goes, up, mommy, up.
Yes. So I'm gonna walk you guys through this visualization. And when I say fill in the blank, I will say fill in the blank because that will be completely costumed to whatever the date you guys decide, obviously your names and stuff like that. Okay.
So are we
out loud or,
eyes closed, eyes open? Are we taking notes during this, or like what do we?
Oh, no. You will not take in notes. I do not want your conscious analytical mind in the way.
Okay.
I want you to relax, and I want your unconscious mind at play. So I'm going to start, and then we'll go from there. So
I'm going to mute.
If you guys are ready, go ahead and take a deep breath. It is now, and state the date of your goal or before. And I, your full name, have easily, healthily, and successfully achieved this goal of whatever your goal is or more. So if it feels comfortable for you guys, go ahead and close your eyes and answer these questions in your mind. When you think of the goal that you just wrote down, what is the last thing that has to happen so that you know you got it? When you think of that, do you have a picture? Allow your mind to paint the picture. Go ahead, pull up the picture. What do you see in the picture? Where are you? Who are you with? What sounds are important to you? Is it something you're saying to yourself? Is it something someone else is saying to you? What are you hearing? What are the feelings that you're feeling in this picture? What are the names of those positive emotions? Where in your body are those emotions coming from? Go ahead, step into the picture so you are inside of your body looking through your own eyes. Inside your body now. As you're there, if it feels good for you, go ahead and make the picture brighter. As bright as you like. More vivid. Vivid colors. What about the sounds? If you like, go ahead and turn up the volume to right there. And now, draw your attention to those positive emotions and feelings now. When you are in your body, are those positive feelings? Where in your body are those positive feelings and emotions? Now, go ahead and turn the intensity of those positive feelings up. All the way up to where it's perfect. Absolutely perfect. Exactly the way you want to feel now. That's right. Now, step out of the picture so you can see yourself in the picture, and hold the picture in a picture frame right in front of you. Holding on to the picture, and imagine that you're floating up above the picture now. As you float right there, right above now. Now we're going to energize this picture with some deep breath, as if we are fogging a mirror. And I want you to physically hold this picture in front of you as if you have it in your hands. And I want you to take a deep breath as if we're going to fog the mirror. That's right. Do it with me now. Feel all the way up. Feel your lungs totally expand. Big, deep breath. Slow, smooth, life-giving energy into the picture. Good. 3 more times. Inhale all the way up. Exhale fully, energizing the picture. That's right. 2 more times. Fill your belly, your lungs, your chest. Expand, big, deep breath. Empty it all the way out and exhale. And now, taking the biggest inhale you've taken all day. Feel all the way up. Exhale all that life force energy, energizing the picture now. Good. Take the picture and float above the timeline into the future. When you get to the time of completion of your goal, stop. Let go of the picture and let it flow right down into the timeline like a feather floating in the wind. And just like a file goes into a filing cabinet, go ahead and drop it there. You know the sounds that a Tupperware makes when you lock it in? Go ahead and lock it in. Turn and look toward now along your timeline and notice all of the events between then and now reevaluate themselves to support your goal. And as you come back to now along your timeline, notice all of the resources, all of the things, all of the people, all of the support, all of the connections, all of the events, all of the things, everything that's right there for you right now. All of the things that are reorganizing now support you achieving this goal. That's right. Just allow yourself to see now what you haven't allowed yourself to see now. Good. And as you float back into now, continue to notice all of the resources, all of the people, all the things, all the support all the way back to now. And when you're ready, go ahead and take a deep breath and open your eyes. How was that? What did you guys felt and see and hear and saw?
It was just like really relaxing. I had like this visual of being in the library and just sitting there and enjoying like the solitude. And while you were talking, I could hear my heartbeat in my headphones. So it was like I was hearing you talk, but I could also hear like myself.
Yeah. What were you able to see anything, hear anything? What did you saw? Well, if you want to share, you don't have to share.
Like what did I see in my head?
Yeah.
So the goal I focused on is I want to be reading more personally. Like I do a lot of reading for all sorts of different things, but I personally really enjoy books. Like that's kind of my happy place.
Yeah.
So I have a set number of goals or a set number of books that I want to read this year. And the image in my head was the library that I spent a lot of time in as a child. There was like an upstairs, a middle floor, and a downstairs. And the downstairs came into this pit. And that's where kids would like gather and do like group readings and stuff. And I would always go sit under the stairs and I'd have my face in the book. And it brought me back to that time when I was a kid, just sitting under the stairs after school, just like face in the book, just quiet solitude, completely engulfed in that experience.
Yeah.
And so it was very nice to be in that space again without like disruption, without hearing like a bunch of chattering and a noise. It just kind of brought silence.
Yeah. Yeah. And so before we continue sharing experiences, I don't want to forget this part. So this is us, right? With the goal that we created. But is this us right here, right now, going to the us of the future, telling the future self, this is what I want, get it together? Or was it the future self coming to us now, telling us, this is where we're going, get your shit together, follow the line? Or was it both?
I would say it intermingles with both from my personal experience. Like from what I experienced just now is like, here I am, this is where you want to go. But there's also like that future self of me that was like, hey, but if you want to go there, like, here, come on, let me come with me.
This is a quantum shit. This is the experience I take my clients through. You can't lose with the stuff I use. All right.
Jeez, Agnes, you had me like over here in like tears. I'm trying.
Look, I don't care what other coaches are doing out there. I don't care what I'm telling you. You cannot lose with the stuff I use. Period. End of story.
Yeah, I got goosebumps.
Yes.
I had tons of goosebumps. I was opening my eyes. I had to wipe the tears. I don't know if I had to wipe the tears out of my eyes. That was extremely powerful.
Yeah.
Apparently you had a lot of people crying today, Agnes. I know you're not reading the comments, but there's a lot of people saying they needed it. They really needed this experience today. And this is recorded, so
that's
if you
good.
guys
So
need
they can refer back
go
to
back.
it. Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome.
Ooh.
Was in my favorite place
Jesse,
on the
I
beach.
have never seen you speechless.
Say what?
I have never seen you speechless. I'm
Who,
concerned.
me? Or Carlin?
Both?
Yeah,
Both?
Yeah, that was really great. No, that was awesome. I got some pretty lofty goals for myself for this year. And I just saw myself taking my family to Hawaii and being in there in Hawaii. Nobody knows unless they go back and watch this recording, which I doubt they will. But taking my family to Hawaii and sharing the good news. Like I think I'm going to keep it a secret this year. Like being able to do that exercise with you. I've got some goals set out, and I'm not going to tell my wife what it is. I'm going to take everybody to Hawaii. I'm going to retire my parents. I'm going to take everybody to Hawaii at the end of the year.
Nice.
And just hearing the waves, the sunset, the different shades of blue in the ocean, the shrubbery, the birds, the ocean splashing and hitting the rocks, the wind on top of the mountains from hiking, everything. It was so surreal. It's fantastic, Agnes. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
That was absolutely wonderful.
Have you guys, I'm curious to know if anyone has done anything similar to this before.
I attended one of Pace's masterminds. Have you been to one of Pace's masterminds?
Yeah.
So Jamil did something. That was the first time I'd ever been through something. Beg your pardon?
The sound bath?
The sound bath.
Yeah. No? He did a sound bath when we went.
What is a sound bath? Maybe I'm just not familiar with the term.
So it's when you lay down and they have this person make sounds with like either singing bowls or like, I don't know what the term is in English, but it's like this metal things that you go and it's like, I don't know.
The jingling things
that you like.
Yeah.
And so they have like another thing that makes kind of like the sound of the ocean, of the waves coming and going. That's a sound bath.
Interesting.
It's like a relaxation thing.
It sounds sick as hell. Yeah, no, it wasn't a sound bath.
Okay.
Yeah, it was just he was kind of walking through, I guess it was kind of a visualization thing, but it wasn't what yours was. Okay. His was different. But that was the only other time I've ever experienced or done anything like that. That was phenomenal.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I remember that visualization. Yes, I remember that visualization. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, he did it too?
It's different.
Yeah, yeah, it is different. It is different. Yeah, no, this was I don't even know if there's a word for it, man. Like it was wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, this was awesome. Well, Agnes, I appreciate you. This has been phenomenal. I think this is the longest podcast I've ever done, and this was absolutely phenomenal. Thank you so much for giving us nearly 90 minutes of your time today. This was such a wonderful experience. Guys, give Agnes some love. Please reach out to her. If you guys got value from this, please share a screenshot, tag Agnes in it. Tell everybody what you learned. Tell everybody what you're doing. Share with somebody where they can come back and watch this recording and get just as much value. Thank you, guys.
My Instagram is, what is my Instagram? It's Agnes.
That was going to be my next question for you. Is what's your Instagram? How can people reach out to you, Agnes?
Oh, it's Agnes_wired. Sorry.
Agnes_wired.
Wired, yes.
Okay. Agnes_wired.
That's on Facebook. That's on Instagram. Facebook is Agnes Legacy.
For people who want to hire you as a coach and want to learn more about some of those things that entails and how you can help them, what's the best way for them to reach out to you?
Message me.
Just message either on the gram or on Bookface.
On Facebook, mostly Facebook, because on Instagram I get a lot of messages which I don't even read, but Facebook I do read those. I'm kind of old school. I'm a woman of a certain age, Jesse. And so I'm not very technological with like Instagram and stuff like that. I do mostly like Facebook stuff. Me too.
I'm the same way.
She's 36.
No, I'm way older than 36.
I appreciate you again. Thank you so much, Agnes. This was absolutely awesome. This was wonderful.
Carlin, thank you so much for inviting me over and believing and trusting in me.
Agnes, I love you.
Yes. Thank you, guys.
So much fun. Thank you so much for being here, Agnes. And we're going to have to figure out another time for you to come on and hang out again, because this is fabulous. And you made a lot of people cry today in like all of the best ways possible. And I definitely think that this should happen again.
We can talk about the money thing.
Oh, yeah, we can talk about that.
Because, most people are used to do prosperity and abundance. How's that working for you, homeboy? Bet it's not. You can't lose with the stuff I use, honey.
Oh man, Agnes, if that's not on a t-shirt with your logo somewhere, it needs to be. You can't lose with the stuff I use,
I feel
baby.
like I should be getting a perm while you're telling me that. Like,
actually, coconut oil and castor oil after I wash it, and then just crunch a lot, and then go to sleep with all scrunched up. It should work out.
I'll do that.
Dude, everybody's loving this. Yeah, we definitely gotta have Agnes on again sooner than later. Let's definitely. Let's talk more offline.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. Let's see what we can do to have you come on again and do some more stuff.
I'm glad to be.
Awesome. Thank you guys. Thank you for being here. Hopefully everybody has a wonderful weekend. Thank Growth. It's Friday, guys. Have a wonderful rest of your weekend. We'll talk with you soon.